Hey, how's it, guys? Thanks for joining us on this episode of Let's Chat. And today I've got William Ainslie on this call. William, how's it going?
It's going very well, and you, Quentin?
Oh, no, all good, man, all good.
Yes, all good.
Thanks. I just want to say I appreciate that you've made the time to join us on this, and I know when the brief chat that we've had, I know that you're going to have quite a lot of insight for us on the mindset side and that. But before we start, you are a biokineticist. I can pronounce
Yes.
it correctly.
No.
But do you want to maybe just tell us a little bit about what is it? What does a biokineticist do basically? What is it exactly that you specialize in?
Yeah, so what I do with my qualification is that I make sure that people don't get injured. If they
Okay.
are injured, that they combine getting ready for their prospective sports and look after the injuries at the same time. So that's a unique perspective.
Okay.
Because normally what happens is you'll go to the doctor or the surgeon, they'll refer you to the physio refer you to the bio, and all the bio does in that context is just the post-operation or post-injury rehab, getting the movement back. But the big shortcoming is that you then are not ready to play soccer again, or your back's not 100% ready yet. Because to play sport, you need to be strong enough, have the right endurance, otherwise you're going to get re-injured.
Yes. Okay. And then so you specialize. Do you just? This might be a stupid question, but so a biokineticist, do you come always after an injury and that kind of thing, or do people come and see you before for movements and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, prehab, big thing. I use
Okay.
kinesiology testing to make sure that we do the right things. Because what guys often miss is that there's certain weaknesses. You need to map the body. You need to figure out where the weaknesses are. Like if you play rugby, but your lower back doesn't have the adequate insurance, then you'll be best served to come and see me, and we'll sort that out so that you know that your lower back doesn't become a weakness in your sport. If you play tennis, on the other hand, you might pick up some problems with your elbows,
Yeah.
and we can prevent all of that from happening in the first place. But
Okay.
normally, when someone's in pain, they're desperate, so they will come and see me and say, "Oh, please fix it." I'm like, "Dude, you should have come before this
Mm.
happened."
Yeah. So
So,
I think we're all guilty of that. We reactive as opposed to proactive.
yeah,
I
that's
think is the right way of saying it. So, when something happens, then you start going to doctors and specialists and stuff.
yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so William, you are quite involved with powerlifting, if I recall, and you train one of the top ladies in powerlifting, right?
Yeah, no, I trained a now
Okay.
warrior woman. She's got multiple world records behind her name.
Okay.
She's the nice thing is that she only started about 8 years ago, really training for it.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's quite a short. Seems long, but it's actually quite a short time to get to the top.
Yes.
And yeah,
Okay. Tell me, have you always been involved in the powerlifting and that, or was it?
yeah.
Did,
Now myself, I did weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting. That's what
okay.
I like the most. I'm preparing for Orlando, the Masters Worlds in Orlando next year.
Okay.
I quit for about 10 years because we play at the top level sport and then we sort of don't know what to do after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my last comp was 2011. So that
Okay.
was at Turkey. Was quite good. Nice experience at the Worlds there. And then after that, I just stopped for a while.
Okay. So just took a bit
Yes.
of a break, or what do they
Yeah.
say? A sabbatical.
Yeah, like a sabbatical. Yeah.
No, that's cool. So, how long did you? I just want to take the weightlifting. What's the difference then between the powerlifting and weightlifting? Is it
Yeah. Yeah. So powerlifting is easier to get into because it's squats,
okay?
deadlifts, and bench press.
Okay.
Obviously, at the top end of any sport, it's equally hard, but
Yes.
you can get into it quite easily. And then the weightlifting is your snatch, lifting the weight from the floor in one motion overhead.
You're up like this and then like
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Then
Okay.
the clean and jerk, we bring it to your chest, and then you push it overhead down.
Okay.
So my best lifts there was 180 on the clean and jerk and 150 on the snatch.
And that's kilograms, eh?
Yeah, that's kilograms.
Just to make it clear, that's kilograms.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's
Uh,
the two of me. But yeah, yes. Okay. And so tell me your top achievements when you were doing weightlifting and that. What?
Yeah, no, there was many nice moments. I think for most of us, we have this idea in our heads that we're gonna be like Olympic champions and whatever, and not gonna happen. So I always did it from the perspective of enjoying it
Okay.
and following the process, and what happens happens. So I was very lucky that from 2004 when I started, I was 24 then, so I started very, very late. So there was no
Okay.
ways I'm going to make the Olympics anyway.
Yes.
To have quite a number of opportunities to compete against the best guys in the world, I stand no chance, let it be clear, but it was very cool. And
Yes.
just the whole idea of mastering weightlifting or mastering your sport is just beautiful. And you can do that at any time of your life. If you're
Yes.
40 or 50, doesn't matter. But the bottom line is if you don't show immense promise when you're like 15 years old, likely you're not going to make it. But it
Yes.
shouldn't stop you from doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's cool. So I was going to actually ask you if you've done it from a young age, or so you
Uh,
answered that now, saying from 24. Okay.
yeah.
Now tell me, with that weightlifting, I've watched some of these strongman competitions
Yes.
and that kind of stuff. There's what I have noticed is a lot of the guys have the same similar skill sets as far as the body goes, but then also the mind starts kicking in. If the
Yeah.
mind becomes a big differentiator. Now,
Yeah.
how did you train mentally for things and stuff like that? How?
Yeah. So I did visualization when I was competitive when I started for the most of my career, that 10 years that I did it for. And what I did find was quite difficult with the visualization was that I couldn't quite match the speed in my mind with the speed of the actual movement.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense because you need to match the speed of what you're doing with your mind or mental picture with the
Yes.
actual activity. So that took
Okay.
quite a while to get that right. And then I was lucky to meet Tim Goodenough. He's with the Sharks now, I think. And he
Okay.
helped me get over that hang up from a visualization perspective, where we rather focus on how it felt and
Yes.
the emotions around the lifting instead of trying to visually see the movement. So that was a big game changer for me.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, if anyone has seen The Gladiator, where he
Yeah.
always went down and he picks up the ground and he
Yes.
tells it. So that was my strategy to switch on.
Okay. Was that your trigger, your anchor?
So that was my anchor. I
Okay.
would touch the platform before I lift, just calm myself down, and then I would do the lift. And that served me greatly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I want to just take a step back because you've given a lot of info there now that I want to touch on.
Yes.
So the info, helpful info, I'm talking about like things that are really important that you actually mentioned there. So the visualization, I find with people that I speak to, everybody's got a different tweak of visualization of
Yes.
what it is. And you just now basically almost answered that question of, for you, visualization was you struggled with because it wasn't exactly the same, but it's actually about the feeling, it's the emotion of
Yes.
getting that you're getting in it. Now, just explain to me step by step. How would you prepare when you say visualization? What did you do? What did you actually do?
Yeah, so the exact thing I did was because it was always top of my mind that when you compete, you can't spend 10 minutes visualizing before you do something.
Yes,
Sometimes you need to just be in the moment. Oh, you missed a lift or something, you got like 2 minutes to get ready.
yes,
So the anchor became crucial.
okay,
So that touching the floor part was reducing it down to the smallest possible time frame to switch on and do the lift. But originally it started with, like I explained before, trying to visually see and feel the movement.
yes,
And that didn't really work out for me. So that's when I switched to the emotion that. So originally it started maybe meditating for a minute or two, just
Okay.
breathing, the box breathing, out for, in for, hold for, that whole story.
Okay.
For about 2 or 3 minutes, and then started getting into the feeling of the snatch, because that's the first attempt.
Just explain to us snatch. What do you mean by snatch? Is that the
Snatch is
initial?
the movement, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
movement from the floor. I mean, that's a full movement, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's our first exercise we do.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you imagine that, and then you just imagine yourself being successful and how smooth it felt.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then for me, I was always very, very calm, almost too calm. And then just when you have the lift overhead, just go, just feels good. So that's a
Yes.
visualization process for that. And then
Okay.
you drop the weight and you get off the stage. So then the visualization would stop as I moved off the stage. So that may be probably a good 6, 7 months to get that right.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And then after that it was pretty straightforward. Then it was like just a couple of moments and in the zone and I could lift.
Yes. So that's. I wanted to ask you something now. So because that's a very interesting thing that you also said is that you used that anchor and that to basically trigger, and your anchor was that touching the floor, then
Yeah.
like that ground thing or almost and stuff like that. Did you see somebody, because that's an NLP technique, neuro linguistic programming technique? Did you see somebody that, or was this the other guy from Sharks that helped you with it?
No, my good buddy Ron Retief is a top world class karate champion. He
Okay.
told me. So his anchor, if I remember correctly, was just hitting his wrist like that, and that switched him on. And that just got me thinking in that direction.
Okay.
Because when we were talking, I was still playing rugby then,
Okay.
and so I didn't use it for rugby per se. And then after that, when I started getting into the weightlifting, that's when I made the connection with that trigger and the visualization and being in the zone for the lift. Because weightlifting is over in maybe 1 second.
Yeah, it's such a quick thing to
Yeah,
to be at your peak for
yes.
that second or whatever, and then it's done, eh?
Yeah, but that's exciting thing because I often tell the guys like you can't make a good movie about weightlifting because it's too quick. So you always see these football movies or remember the Titans and those and and the guys just build up and it's all this endurance and then they 20 points down. But because it's an hour and a half or how long the game is, there's time to sort of screw up and then
Yes.
get it right again and make a good movie.
Yes.
Weightlifting from a mental side, it's over and done with in a second. So if
Got
you're
one
not
time.
100% switched on, you're done. You're going to miss, it's end of story. So that's why the visualization in this context is extremely important. So it's not like at the moment there's a lot of talk about grit and
Yes.
working hard and that. That's in
Yes.
the endurance game.
Yes.
So when you're
Okay.
running, you're swimming, or you're doing jiu-jitsu, I think it's a very important mental skill. For
Yes.
us, it's irrelevant.
Just explain that to the viewers maybe that don't quite understand what you mean. So grit is a terminology and it's almost a catchphrase that's been thrown around a lot lately,
Yeah.
and a lot of talk about it in the life coaching world and
Yes.
sports and everywhere. Yeah.
So for me, grit is the ability to withstand pain and change the context. What I mean by context is that you don't always enjoy what you're doing. Okay. So when you're practicing for sport or when you're really suffering, you're not necessarily enjoying it.
Yes.
But having grit or the ability to withstand that discomfort is what makes you reach your potential.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
that's pushing when you don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a nice word, grit.
So yeah, because obviously with the powerlifting or the weightlifting and that, like you
Mm,
say, that's an instant thing. So there's no,
no,
there's no, that doesn't come into play really, I guess.
yeah, no, it doesn't. There's a story about Marcelo Garcia, who is the best jiu-jitsu fighter in America at the moment, as far as I know.
Yes.
He used to be half asleep, so they will come and look for him because he needs to come up for his fight, and then
Yes.
I'll find him under the pavilion sleeping.
Yes.
Yes. And then I'll wake him up, and then he will go from that state to freaking monster in like a split second.
Switch on, yeah.
Yeah, just switch on. So obviously it's cool to read about it. I mean,
Yes.
fine. So weightlifting is similar to that. You gotta
Okay.
be ready, warm. They call it warm body, cold mind. So the body is warm
Oh, okay.
and ready
Yeah.
for action. The
Yes.
mind is like an assassin's mind.
Okay.
Called warm body, cold mind.
Okay.
And that's what gets you to lift the weight that no one else can.
And okay, so that was the other point that you mentioned just now, and you've just mentioned it again, is quite often I know there's two camps on this thing. There's because you get I can't remember the guy's name now. I'll try and remember. And he's very ex-Navy SEAL, and he's very on being aggressive, and that's how
Uh,
David
yeah,
Goggins.
yeah, David Goggins. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's on that side of the camp where it's aggression and you know what I mean. But a lot of the guys will say, and you might have heard of the Silver method, Jose Silver, and basically it's what you're saying is lowering your brain, lowering your state to
Yes.
that calm,
Yeah,
and
theta.
actually
Yeah.
you perform better at that state. It's almost like a subconscious. Your brain waves go down. They actually
Yeah.
physically go down, and you go into and I think it's an alpha state or whatever, or theta. I
Yeah,
don't know.
theta. Yes, it's
Yeah,
theta.
theta state. So that's what you're referring to there, is that
Yeah.
calm, that like
Yeah.
getting your
Yeah, again, I think what people are missing is that besides David Goggins being freaking awesome, I mean, who's going to carry the boat? But motivation for most sport and for us is such a wasteful time because it means nothing. Because at the end of the day, you have to be in sport at close to 100% capacity, meaning well rested, warm body, cold mind, laser focused. If you're a Navy SEAL, you probably screwed up, tired. You just have to get through the cold
through.
water, carry the boats, get it done. So maybe you had 30% capacity as a Navy SEAL in that moment. Doesn't mean you won't get killed by them, just means for their context, very, very different. While for sport, doesn't matter what it is, you've got to be as close to 100% as you possibly can. And the rest and being recovered for it is crucial.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that
imagine you're on the platform at 30%,
yeah, no, you can't. Yeah.
or you on the golf course and you're 30%.
Yes, because you're tired and you haven't slept and whatever. It's not going to work. Yeah. That's a very interesting thing that you've also now mentioned in that, and I've never actually thought about it like that. So yes, for his context, that might work. The whole getting and just getting through and getting through. But like you say, for a sports, if you're playing a tennis game, you can't just finish the game. The point isn't finishing. The point is winning.
Yes, the point is winning. No, I mean, we like David Goggins, but it's the times we're living in. I mean, it's like all this crap motivation, it just floats around. People
Yes,
forget you need to do the freaking work. If you don't do the work, I mean, how many
100%.
motivational videos have I watched? Hundreds. Did it
Yes,
make any difference to me? No, because I had to do the work.
yes,
If the motivation gets you started, that's fine. But you
yes.
can't rely on that as your food.
Yeah, so I say the motivation stuff has its place because, like you say, it's not a ongoing. It's not going to keep you going for. It's a short term. I would rather sit and listen to some motivational stuff than watch TV, if that makes sense.
I agree
So it's
100%.
it's feeding the mind. Just keep feeding the mind, but it's not going to get you to train 6 times a week for the next 6 months. It's not going to. It's not. It doesn't. It's not sustainable in that perspective. But it
Yeah.
just it's for me, it's just a fertilizer for the mind, if you want to call it that. Just every day putting in that positive as opposed to listening to the news or some crap like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I understand you correctly, it's almost like you have to bath every day.
Yes. It's
So
just
you,
washing yourself in that in that
Motivation.
crap, if you want to call it.
No, motivation is right. It is.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But we just get so caught up in watching 20 videos and not applying it.
Yes, you know, there's definitely effort that's always going to be involved and stuff like that. There's no quick fix. I think what you're saying also is the world has got so used to, we've got, we've got a phone where we've got information at hand. We can do our banking directly off here. Everything is instant. So we almost get programmed, and I speak about this in a mindset thing. We get programmed to expect everything instantly. So when we start doing something and we don't see results in 24 hours, we get demotivated. I think that's what you're saying. You have to put in the hard work and consistency and
no, it's true. Like, it's almost sad, and I mean, I fall into this trap as well, is that when you mention the word skill or whatever, that's what we need for life.
Yes.
But we don't really want it. I mean, the articles I write that gets the least love is the ones that talks about skill, because we don't. We're so conditioned, like you said, to just go on Facebook and whatever and just keep consuming stuff.
Yes. So Robin Sharma talks a lot about choosing something and skills and building and becoming an absolute artist at a certain skill, if you want to call it that. He says a lot of the top performers, they'll take one thing and they'll practice that one thing for years on end, and they make an art out of it. So I think that's also what you were saying now, is that people don't want to sit and work on the same thing for 10 years to achieve something. It's too long. They want to.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yes. Boring is the correct word.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's cool. Yes, you shared quite a bit there in that, and I love what you're saying about the visualization stuff and the anchor and that, which just shows, if you ever doubt, those anchors and stuff like that definitely work when you can switch yourself on like that. You get into that state. It's not airy fairy stuff. It actually it does work.
No, it's crucial.
Yes. So when you're training now, when you're training other people, do you then sort of share these skill sets with them as well, to make sure that they also do impart this into them as well, obviously?
Yeah, no, it's crucial to teach others to do it as well. You have to allow people to find their own way.
Yes.
But initially you got to teach them and coach them and almost force them to do it. And
Yes.
then hopefully over time they apply it themselves.
Okay.
But often it doesn't happen.
Yes. So explain that. When you say often it doesn't happen, people just don't.
They just don't follow through. They don't do it. Because they're not really interested in doing better. Because I mean, it's hard. It is. It's not easy.
Yes, I think a lot of times also working on your mind, and that side. It's also, you get the physical side. Obviously, we know that's hard work in it, but the mental side can also be challenging, because it's not easy to work on something mentally in that as well.
You don't see it. The physical side, you train, you lift the weight,
Yeah.
you squat, you run, you row, you hit the ball, you play tennis, etc. You do the gymnastics move, you do the karate punch. The mental thing you don't see. And in the West, we're so conditioned that, or in the city or whatever, that the mind and the body is different things.
Yes.
I mean, emotion is emotion. The more you train, the less depressed you get. The more depressed you are, the more you should move. The less good you perform in the sports field, the more you need to focus on your mindset, etc., etc.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's very interesting. Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you is, what motivates you about your profession as a coach? Because although you're a biokineticist, you're also a coach.
Yes.
So what motivates you? What gets you up? What gets you going?
Yeah, just having people discover possibilities for people that they don't know what they don't know, and pointing it out to them, or at least guiding them in that direction is what gets me up in the morning. Yeah, so it's probably not quite outcome independent, but getting there. So seeing
Yeah.
others get better because of inputs is what's like.
That's awesome. So I was just smiling there now because you said you don't know what you don't know. So I actually use that. I've got a limiting beliefs program,
Okay.
and I actually mention it in there. I say, the thing with limiting beliefs is it's like if you don't know you have them, you know what I mean. You're not going to be aware of them. You're not going to realize how they're impacting your life.
Yeah.
And it is that it's what you don't know. You don't know. Um,
Um,
so.
uh, no, I agree with you, Quint. I think that the thing that people must also, well, I shouldn't talk like this. I think everyone, including me,
Yes.
if you really have a big thing or a decent thing you want to accomplish, being in sport, being in business, doesn't matter. Trust me, you cannot, and I mean this, you cannot do it on your own. You have to have a sponsor, you have to have a mentor, you got to pay people, you got to pay coaches to help you with those skills. It's not because you're not capable. It
Yes.
is that you don't know what you don't know. You can't see your own faults. And when things get hard, you will fail.
Yes.
If we go back to school, how many guys didn't get through matric that you know?
Well, I'm one of them. So yeah.
So got through matric because it's all that support structures. It's teachers, it's your friends. So everybody is getting through it. Then you go to varsity, then more people fail because the support goes away.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And then later on, you buy an online course, for example. Guess what? You're going to fail
Yeah.
because the support's not there. So
Yeah.
pay for coaching, get mentors. Doesn't matter what you do, you've got to have someone help you through it. Otherwise, you're going to stay mediocre. You're not going to make it. It's a
That's
fact of life.
that's awesome advice. Thanks, William. Yeah. That's really, and I hope everybody listens to this point to actually get that part because that alone there is worth gold if you can grasp that. And it's the accountability. You see, when you've got a coach, doesn't matter when it's a personal trainer, whatever coach it is, life coach, whatever. There's accountability, and that also it gives you a much higher success rate.
Yeah, the main purpose for a coach is the accountability. So give Quentin your money, have him coach you mentally because you have to do that. It's
Yes.
not because you're incapable, you just cannot do it on your own. It's just
Yes.
how it is. I
Yeah.
mean, Michael Jordan had a coach, Tiger Woods had a coach, Roger Federer has a coach, Rafael Nadal has a coach.
Yes.
Top CEOs have coaches.
Yeah.
You know,
No, that's awesome, William. I thank you very much. That was going to lead me into the one thing of maybe I can still ask you this, just
yes.
sort of high level. If you could give guys out there 3 tips, mindset tips, what would you be your top 3? You've given us so many already, but what would be your top 3 mindset tips for everybody watching this?
Okay, warm body, cold mind. Number
Awesome. I
one.
love that.
Process above results. And then number three, I don't know, have fun. Oh,
Okay,
have
cool. Yeah,
fun. Oh. So
that's a
warm
good.
body, cold mind, that speaks directly to the mind. Yeah, just have fun, I would say number three. Yeah,
Okay. That's
cool.
awesome. Thank you very much, and we're coming to the
Pleasure.
end of our time here, Ned. So what I wanted to ask you is, if the guys want to connect with you, where are you the most active? What's the best place to connect with you?
I'm on all the usual places, Facebook, Instagram, website, williamainslie.com.
Okay.
Preferably email me. My email address and telephone numbers on there, so you can have a chat. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
100%. Thank you so much for that. So what I'm going to do, guys, is if you're watching this, if you want to connect with William, I'm going to put his details at the bottom of this YouTube video. All his details will be there. If you want to connect with him, just connect with him through that. His website will be there and all the contacts and that. And then also don't forget to subscribe to this channel to catch the next or few next interviews that we'll be doing. And yeah, William, thank you so much for your time again. I really appreciate it. Cheers, eh?
Cool, man.
Cheers,
Stay strong.
thanks.